you in the right direction, give you some guidance, and most importantly, they'll give you a bill. That's what it's all about. So if you have any legal problems or questions, 330-729-9977. 330-729-9977. Well, he was absent for a while because he was on some whirlwind vacation and everything and that kind of stuff. I think discovering his roots or something like that, tracing back to his family history. I never knew he was Italian. I always thought
The motherland was calling me home, Ron. The motherland was calling. It is. Yes, it is. It is Italian. Absolutely. Come over on a Sunday. There'll be no doubt what nationality we are. Great to be here, Ron. Thank you. You got it. I can't afford another vacation for at least another 2-3 years. That's right. All right, Casey. Thank you. We have a heavy hitter tonight. Attorney Frank Cassis is here, and we're ready to take some calls. Your buddy,
how you doing?
Should we tell him about his buddy and his medical situation?
Yeah, really sad news, Ron. The David Beatrice,
the Kingmaker, as you call him.
Yeah, he has a boo boo. Can't come on the show tonight. No.
Well, it's not COVID for the 14th time.
He has walking pneumonia, so we're praying for a speedy recovery.
About 2 months ago, he started walking 2 miles every day. Now we have no idea where he's at. No.
Yeah. So he's down. He's not feeling well. So Mark and I are handling it tonight. I think so.
We hope so. We're going to try to drop some knowledge on everybody
our best.
out there.
We'll do our best.
Let's take some calls for our attorneys tonight. We start on line 1. Welcome to the legal show. You're on the air. What's your question?
Well, I mean, he's got all kinds of rules. Oh, God. He's got to put an application in. He has to be vetted. There's background checks. There's all kind of stuff that you have to go through before you get the okay. Yeah, you probably do need legal counsel. It is a very specialized area of law.
Right. And it's very regulated through the state as well. So I don't know that any businessman, so to speak, or businesswoman is just able to open up a dispensary.
And you're probably, I hate to say this, but you're probably a day late and a dollar short, because I talked to people that were talking about opening, what are they called?
The medical marijuana
dispensaries. I talked about people
or actually recreational.
Or recreational, excuse me. That's right.
Yeah, dispensaries. I was talking to people that were planning on opening a dispensary a year or two before it was even voted on.
Yeah, and that's been in the works for a while as well. So I think the folks that put their applications in and were able to get these, I think it's few and far between. I don't think this is something where you can just open up on the corner. This is very selective. Not a lot of people have the opportunity to open these. So
it's not like opening a pizza shop.
Exactly.
Caller, let me tell you this. So they're telling you it's a tough thing. Take your money and open a massage parlor and try that.
No.
Okay.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks. You know what I mean? Or do something along that line. You're on the air. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Your question, please.
Yeah. First, I just want to thank you guys for doing what you do. And then
Thank you.
I don't know if you could help me or not. There's a class action lawsuit going on against Tylenol, trying to link it to autism. They have a couple lawyers, I think, down in Florida that contacted us, and they wanted us to join. The only problem is they need some kind of proof that my wife was taking Tylenol when she was pregnant, even though that was about 12 years ago and then also almost 6 years ago. So I'm not sure how to kind of find that proof that they're looking for.
Well, that is a great question because, think about it, attorneys. This is something you buy over the counter, and let's say she was taking it. How do you prove you were?
Yeah, that seems
Well,
like
and you're so far removed. It's not even going to be in your system. So you can't even have I don't even know that you could have a blood test or any kind of a test to verify what is in your system.
no. Yeah.
Well, you'd be having to take it when you were pregnant, I would assume, right, caller? Caller?
Yeah, she was taking it when she was pregnant. That's correct.
All right, and let me just ask
She
you
was,
this:
I think
do you have how many children do you have?
3 now.
And,
2 of our children, both boys, are autistic. Our girl is not.
all right, but you have 2 children, both are autistic, and severely or mildly, or what degree?
I mean, I would say maybe mildly, somewhat severely. Our oldest, he talks, but it's not like you can have an actual conversation with him most of the time. And then our youngest, he's more verbal.
All right,
than the oldest one.
now answer this question, and before I turn you back to the attorneys. In all honesty, was she taking Tylenol at the time she was pregnant?
Yes, she was. Yeah, that's what I mean. She was prescribed it. I'm pretty sure.
All right.
Even
Well,
though
if
I
you
don't
have
know
a
the doctor,
prescription,
we tried to get a hold of the doctors. They couldn't really tell us anything. We tried to get a hold of Rite Aid, which is where she got her scripts from and the Tylenol from, and they can't pull up like your member card that she used. They can't pull the information back from that far saying that we purchased it at that time.
All right, another question. But a doctor prescribed it for her? Yes or no?
I think they did. I believe they did.
Have
from what I
asked
remember.
have you asked the doctor's office if they have anything in their records? Have you sought that out by chance?
Yeah, I think she contacted her doctor, and I don't think they have any of that information, which I'm not sure how they don't.
Okay,
So I'm
now
pretty sure they're supposed to keep all that.
let me ask him one more thing, guys, and then you take it. Is there any way that you can call these lawyers and that are doing this class action because you have 2 autistic kids and you certainly could testify that your wife was taking Tylenol at the time as a witness, and she
Right.
can say she was, and you could say we try to get the records from the pharmacy and we try to get it from the doctor's office. He really needs to talk to them, Mark. Wouldn't that be a step in the right direction?
Absolutely. The doctors keep a medical file on every patient that they see. I think they're required to maintain that file for a number of years. So if they do prescribe something, I mean, I could go to my doctor. My doctor's been the same doctor for years, and I'm sure he has all my records from every visit. They take notes after every visit.
If you go there, he could verify that you've had jock itch every year since you've been a teenage boy, right,
That's
Mark?
right. Right. You're well aware of that, Ron. So, yeah, I mean, he obviously your wife could sign an affidavit. I mean, that's a sworn statement.
Caller, you're certain that the lawsuit is the allegation would be it's the autism is through the Tylenol?
Yes, that it was Tylenol, taking Tylenol while pregnant
Yeah.
was leading to autism.
So I would agree with Attorney DeVecchio that the first thing you need to do is pull your medical charts, which I'm certain if she was in fact prescribed that, they would have the dosage that she was prescribed, and you can start there. I also would lean on the attorneys that are handling the case. They're probably going to know what material specifically to look for, and that's a great
And how to
starting
get it.
place. Exactly. So, yeah, I mean, I know that's
But I mean, guys, let me ask you, even if he can't find the records, so if Rite Aid says we don't have them back that far, or even if perhaps the doctor doesn't have a note of it or whatever, just as a scenario, he still could contact these lawyers and say, listen, she was taking it. I know she took it. There is another avenue. He
yeah,
has to speak
absolutely.
to
He
these
has
lawyers.
Sure. I mean, he would, if he in fact knows that she was taking it and he witnessed it, he has firsthand knowledge of it, and he would be able to
And
testify
2
to that.
autistic kids.
Sure.
2
Yeah.
autistic kids. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like
Was she
something you should
taking it?
certainly be diligent on and pursue.
Was she taking it for the during the birth of the third? pregnancy?
Yeah. Well, our third child is the youngest. He's autistic. Our middle child is the one who wasn't autistic, although boys are more to be autistic, I guess, than girls.
All right.
So
So,
our two boys are, and then our daughter isn't.
all right. So listen, you got to get a hold of, to talk to these lawyers. All right. You got to find out how you can have a conversation with them. Okay.
Okay.
I mean, really.
Yeah, she was kind of standoffish that she didn't, like, we didn't have any proof. She tried looking it up. I tried looking it up. So she was standoffish on even contacting them. But yeah, I'll get in contact with them.
Right. Because you could say, listen, I know she took it. And tell them what you're trying to do and see what advice they have for you. All right. I wish you the best of luck. All right. I mean, that's all those legal records. I mean, sometimes, you'd hope he'd make a note of that. I mean, it depends, right, Mark, how long ago
Well,
that was.
I think he has to. He's required. I think if he doesn't, that may be negligence on the part of the doctor. I don't know if it rises to the level of malpractice, but we're required to keep our records for 7 years. Or
Sure, and I think
Right.
if in fact she was prescribed that shouldn't be that hard to find. To be honest, I don't think that would be an
Right.
issue. It should be in the charts. I mean, it's a prescription that would have went through a pharmacy. It would be really hard to.
and I think a
Right.
doctor has to note in the files every time something is prescribed.
Yeah. Yes, they do. And and the prescription
you
would
could
go through
obviously-
the pharmacy. I mean,
Correct.
so there would be a record of it if she was in fact prescribed Tylenol. I don't think they'd have an issue finding it.
And if it's prescribed, there's a presumption she's taking it.
Mhm.
So
I wonder why it would be prescribed, though, if you can buy it over the counter, though.
Yeah, that was my
I mean,
only
that's what
question I was thinking of when he was talking about that. Unless it's the dosage can be a little
exactly. You
Right.
could buy acetaminophen over the counter, but there's also a prescribed acetaminophen that has a higher content of medicine or a higher percentage
Correct.
of the medication that needs a prescription.
bit. Yeah, but I agree with you, Ron.
Well,
I
yeah,
thought about that, but it is true though. It's all based on the dosage.
Like there's a lot of medications, Frank, you could have bought over the counter for your chronic ringworm, but you need to get it prescribed, right?
Boy,
Exactly right.
What about our HIPAA rights, Ron?
Yeah, right.
I mean, you're
Well,
just
you listen, you guys turn to me in your hour of need and I try to help you out here. I didn't know that it was upset that, Frank found his chronic ringworm a problem to let the public know. And
Yeah.
listen,
what
come
are you
on.
gonna do?
We don't want to talk
Problem.
about your hemorrhoids, Ron. Come on.
Well, I want to talk about him if you wouldn't mind. Because I'm sitting here on a donut. All right, let's take another call. All right, this is the Legal Show brought to you by Beatrice Cop, and you're on the air. What's your question? Hello there.
I don't know how I follow that one.
Okay.
All right. I got a question. Oh, by the way, as far as that guy that called about the aspirin, chances are that prescription occurred in the hospital, so the hospital is going to have the prescription in their system. I can pretty much assure you they can go back 20 years. So I would start at the hospital on that.
Well,
The question I had is a very different.
Okay, go ahead,
Go ahead.
Calvin. What's your question? No, just go ahead.
The question I had is I live in Florida. I have a situation where I have a young person, my child. Okay, I want to leave as much detail out of this as I can, without. I hope I get the question across. She's 15 and a half years old, and she has a cancer, and she's doing quite well. The thing is, we had scans done independently. They came back. The independent radiologist said there's no sign of active activity. In fact, it looks like it was surgically removed when it was not. It had only been treated with one modality, no surgery, no radiation. And the hospital people, oncologists, don't see it that way. They want to keep running with, high dose chemotherapy. They want to keep pushing radiation. It's as if nothing changed. It's as if something was laid out on day one for the program, and that's it. And despite the fact that everything is going extremely well, there's no major issues. The only issue that really is occurring is her blood levels are dropping to the point where any normal person would look at that and say she needs a transfusion. They don't want to have any part of that until she reaches rock bottom. And at that point, you put the body in a compromised position. I just don't understand. And when it comes to the rights of the parents, what rights do parents even have? I know that they've got this thing where, they're the geniuses. They know everything, right? Well, they're so smart, they're going to run her into the ground. and defeat everything that she worked
what
hard
about
for.
what about a second
Yeah,
opinion?
that's exactly what I was going to just say. You have the right to take the child to another oncologist.
Well, see, how do I do that? Politely. I don't want to be a jerk. I'm not trying to.
Well,
no, this
candidly,
is not-
yeah,
listen,
you have a child with cancer. No disrespect to anybody, but that's the last thing you should be concerned about. I mean, you're out for her best interest. Doctors are professionals. They understand that. A lot of doctors will tell you, listen, they're welcoming second opinions. Get a second opinion.
They're not going to be offended. It's the normal course. You don't have to worry about hurting anyone's feelings or anything. Your daughter's health comes first. So I would definitely start calling other doctors.
Okay, now the thing is, since this is pediatric care, there's not too many places that'll do child oncology. So do I call admissions? Do I call the oncologist there? Do I take her there? How do I do this?
Well, does she have a pediatrician? I mean, who is her doctor? Her general doctor?
She has a PCP. Yeah.
Okay, I would contact that doctor and I would say, listen, I'm a little concerned about the advice we're getting. I'd like to get a second opinion. Could you give me a referral? And I think at that point they have to.
Yeah. And or I mean, if you're not satisfied with what the feedback you're getting from your pediatrician, then start looking in other cities around you. I mean, there's got to be a lot of folks out there, and you're in Florida especially. There's some big cities there with good medical institutions. I am certain that you can find somebody else who is willing to put eyes on this and give an opinion.
There's a Cleveland Clinic out there, I think, right?
Yeah, there's clinic. I mean, Tampa has outstanding medical facilities.
Yeah, they're on the wrong coast for me. But he's right. They do have some good ones down here. I guess it's just, and one of the things that kind of, I don't know if they were browbeating us and we were questioning things. You know, they talked about intervention. And unfortunately, there's been cases down here where this hospital has taken kids and shut the parents out and taken custody of them with CFS, Child Support or whatever it is, Child Protective Services.
That's
I realize there's bad parents out there, but I mean, I'm not one of those.
You're showing concern for your child. You're not neglecting or abusing your child. If you're putting your child in danger, in imminent danger of physical harm, then Children's Services could intercede. If it's neglect, abuse, or some kind of cognizant act on your part that is placing her in imminent danger, yes, they have a right to get involved. If you're concerned and you're questioning the doctors and you're asking for a second opinion, that does not rise to the level of a child being neglected or abused. So I don't see where you are in any danger of losing custody of your child. I mean, that's it's ridiculous.
Well, it was kind of floated like, well, if you don't provide this care, the likelihood of, long-term survival is 20%. If you do it our way, it's 80%. But the reality of it is the location of it would be so morbid that she would probably spend the rest of her life literally on her stomach.
Oh, wow. I'm so sorry to hear
Well,
that.
then it's a pretty...
And she's more kids. She knows the situation. She said she would rather have quality of life than quantity.
Okay, let me ask, how old is she?
13 and a half, Ron.
All right, and where do you live? And where's this child located? In Florida?
Yes.
And do you live in Florida?
Yes.
Okay, are you married to the mother?
Yes.
Yes?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
I mean, Mark, help me with my thinking here. I don't understand why it shouldn't be a big deal at all to say
No.
don't hurt their feelings. I want to get some second opinions here.
Especially if you and the
So-
mother present a united front. And, if you and your mother are going in the same direction and you both have the same opinion and you both confront the doctor and you ask and you say you'd like a second opinion.
Right. That shouldn't insult the doctor who's competent in her diagnosis, Mark, but also they got to take into account what a 13-year-old child has to say, who's pretty coherent sounding to me.
Well,
right.
I don't know. No, I don't know that they'll take into consideration. I mean,
Well,
into consideration, yes,
she
but
is
she
the
can't.
patient.
She is, but she
She's a
also
minor.
she's a minor, so she cannot make independent decisions. The parents have preeminent right in this situation.
Right, but she's expressed her thoughts to her parents.
Oh, as far as
Yeah.
quantity, yes, I understand
Yeah.
that absolutely. But you still want to get her the best treatment that you can, and you want to make sure that you turn over every rock to make sure you explore every option on behalf of your child. So,
And make
I,
the best decision.
and I would
so
make no
that's what-
apologies for that at all.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I appreciate the help on that. The one of the things that I came across was something about emancipation if you're 16. The thing that's weird about that is it says if the child
Stand
wants to
by.
make their own
All
decision.
right, stand by for me. I'll come back to you after the break. All right, we'll get back to you in a minute. Back after this. Stay tuned.
You could emancipate in Ohio.
Legal Show brought to you by Beatrice Kopp on News Radio 570 WKBN. On this Thursday, August 8th already, we are sitting with 83 degrees, 330-729-9977. Always get you through with some free legal advice. Attorneys Mark DeVecchio and Frank Cassis is joining us. Oh, wait a second here. I'm looking for a button as I'm trying to talk. There you are. All right, gentlemen. How are you?
Are we back?
We're back. You had a final? Yeah, you're back. You had a final question you wanted to ask about what, sir?
Yeah, the emancipation idea. So the reason why I bring that up, and I know it may sound strange, I found a better document while we were on commercial break. So good job, Ron. You helped me out. The emancipation thing seems like something that we could do for her, because then if they push too hard, like if they really push on this, this barbaric treatment that is not ideal, right? And if we can't seem to get away from it, if she gets emancipated, we can agree to do that for her if it's in her best interest, so she can say no with her hand up. Because if she's 18, she could do it, but not when she's 16.
Well, when you say
I
emancipation,
mean, I'm willing to go that far.
emancipation is a legal way for the child to become free from a parent's custody and control.
Right.
Okay, so and she would have to take action. She would have to apply for emancipation on her own, at which time, if it's granted, you are now out of the picture and you do not make decisions for her. She makes her own decisions.
Right. You're
Right.
taking a step that's probably
They're telling
unnecessary.
me that they could override us.
All right, listen to what attorney. Listen to what Frank is saying to you, caller.
Yeah,
Just listen for a minute.
You're taking you're taking a step that's not necessary. As the parents and the guardians, you have the ability to make this decision for her. It's a decision which sounds like she's agrees with. They cannot override your decision as the parents unless you are doing something, as Mark said, that's neglectful, that's putting her in harm's way. Getting a second opinion is not doing that. You're not saying that you're not going to get her treatment. You're just saying that you want another oncologist, pediatrician, medical professional to evaluate her and tell you folks if this is the best path or they would do something different.
And an emancipation is a legal proceeding that I don't think is in her best interest right now, given what she's already going through.
Right. I mean, you're going to be tied up in courts.
Yeah,
So
right.
do what they told you to do. You know what her wishes are. You're the parents. You try to make the best decision you can, and you get a second opinion. And it's a complicated one to make because you got to respect these experts and what they have to say and reach your conclusion. Okay.
God bless you. We wish
All
you
right,
the best of
appreciate
luck.
it.
All right. Yeah.
Yes. Wow.
News Radio 570 WQN. You're on the air with our attorneys tonight. 535. Hello there.
Ron,
Yeah.
yeah, I got a question about a property and a house that we had given our son. He was married. He's married at the time. Well, what has happened is his wife is no longer with him. And we had a verbal agreement that she was not to be put on the deed. But she was a realtor at the time. And they went around that. They put her on the deed.
And
When you say they,
Now
who's
they're
they?
separated.
probably, I would imagine. Hang on.
I
So
would say,
both the married couple, your son and his wife, put
Yes.
your son. You're saying you had a verbal agreement with your son that only his name would appear on the deed, but you're saying your son put her name on the deed as well because he would have to know about it because
Yeah.
he's got the deed.
Once you give,
well, she was the realtor doing the work.
Right.
She went around it. We had a verbal agreement that she was not to be on the deed.
he would have had to
Property's
sign it.
been in the family for years.
Here's the situation,
What's the
sir.
And now they're separated. I'm worried about her coming back down the road and taking half of the
All right.
property in the house.
What's it worth?
Oh, it's been appraised at $225.
Okay.
Well, you said that they're separated. So it's not an issue until it becomes a divorce, okay? If it becomes a divorce and
Well,
she's
he's-
laying claim to half of it, once you give a gift to someone, you relinquish control of that item. So once you gifted it to your son, you can't, I don't know that you could put restrictions on it unless you're doing it in some form of a
Even
trust.
with the verbal agreement that she was not to be put on the deed,
Once
and
you
she went around it.
once you give it to your son, he's free to do whatever he
Right.
wants with it. If he
When-
put her name on it, he created separate property, he created marital property from separate property. Well, that's a problem he's going to have to deal with.
Right. Caller, when you say she went around it, they had to go around it
Yeah,
collectively.
she was the realtor at. She
Yeah,
is the
but-
real,
but
was the
listen,
realtor
wait,
at
wait,
the
wait.
time. Also,
Hold on. Listen to what Frank's saying.
It-
He had to sign some things and read some things too.
exactly.
Right.
If that was gifted
Yeah.
to him,
I
then
understand that.
then once you gift it to him, what Attorney DeVecchio, Mark just said was you relinquish control of that. It's his decision what he does with it next. So if he allows her to be put under the deed, then
and he creates a marital asset, he's in
Exactly.
trouble. However, if you want to allege some kind of fraud in the inducement of the signature, you could testify in the divorce trial that you gave it to your son and your son only. You didn't give it to both of them. And you might have a puncher's chance at having that be declared separate property. But
let me ask you, Mark, would he have a chance because it's been in the family so long?
I don't think that makes a difference. I
All
mean,
right, but he gave it to his son. But his son would have to know her name's on the deed because he would have to see.
he would
the
have
deed
signed
and
a
sign the
quitclaim
papers.
deed. Yeah, they would have prepared a quitclaim deed, and both of their names would clearly have been on it. And it would say it's transferring from the caller's name and presumably his wife's name to his son's name and his wife's name. And you'd have
Well, let me-
signatures on it.
Let me ask you a question, caller.
Okay, but at the time, I had to sign the papers too. But they had told us that he was the only one on the deed. After we signed, then they went around the other way and she signed the papers.
well, he did that though. See, when you did transfer it to your son, when you gifted it to him, he was the only person on the deed. But from there, your son had to have then.
And if she did something that's nefarious, if she forged his signature, if she created a document, then that's a defense for your son to use in the divorce trial.
Sure.
That I didn't sign that. She created that. That's not my signature. You would then testify that it was never our intention to give a gift to the parties, just to our son.
Right.
And you have a shot. Okay.
I mean, I don't know. Caller, let me ask you this. That was your, how long were they married?
They've probably been married 8-9 years now. I gave the house to him 4 years ago.
All right.
Me and my wife retired.
Yeah. And then he probably thought they'd be married forever and didn't pay much attention to it. So.
She's living with another guy now,
Oh,
and I'm
geez.
just worried about him down the road, her trying to take everything he's got.
Yeah.
She will not divorce him. She keeps hanging on.
Why won't she divorce him if she's living with another guy? Well, why not?
Well, let me.
Hospitalization.
Hang on a second.
He's covering her hospitalization.
All right, but I got you a damn good divorce attorney.
Yeah,
on the end of my line here.
Let me interrupt you. That's a two-way street. If she refuses to divorce him, that doesn't mean he can't get divorced. He could file a complaint for a divorce on his own. He could divorce her. So, you can't sit and wait for the other party to take action. The longer you stay married, there are a number of issues. And I always tell people that you're either working on saving your marriage or working on ending your marriage. Okay. You can't just bury your head in the sand because things are not going to get better. They're only going to get worse. And understand, the longer the parties are married, when you talk about issues like spousal support, one of the things the court looks at is duration of the marriage. So, and you could always argue that we were separated and she was living with another guy. So the de facto termination date of our marriage was when she moved out. And that's a legal argument you can make. But I would advise your son to start making those legal arguments sooner rather than later.
So what he's telling you is have your son, listen, DeVecchio is the best at what he does. Have your son get a hold of DeVecchio and have him file to get divorced from that tramp. I mean, from that woman.
Okay, but yeah, I just it worries me down the road. That's all.
Yeah,
I mean,
he should part company.
his pension. She'll take half of his pension. I'm worried about that.
You want to, Mark? You want to get out of this before at least 10 years, right?
Well,
his problem is he has too kind of a heart. He's too kind-hearted.
No, he's stupid. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you can't.
Okay, I will agree with you.
Thank you, because she's living with another guy. What more do you need than that?
I've told him several times, you've got to get out of this.
There's a difference between kindness and weakness. You could be kind and you don't have to be weak. He needs to stand up for his rights. He needs to protect his assets. If she wants to live with another guy, allow her to move on with her life, and he needs to protect what is his. As far as his pension, she's going to get half of his pension. While they're separated and she's living with another guy, he's still paying into his pension. And until a court accepts jurisdiction and gets these parties disconnected, disentangled, the pension, he's still going to contribute and she's going to get half. So, I mean, he needs to stop that gravy train now.
She's left him 3 years ago. She has left him 3 years ago. Keeps hanging on, keeps calling him.
Well, he's
I didn't know because it was a verbal agreement whether I had any repercussions against her.
not.
And you need to give him some advice to get divorced. Okay.
Have him call me.
Yeah, I've been trying, Ron.
All right. Good luck to you, man. What a mess. What a mess. He's got a.
It's terrible.
It really is. It's very sad.
No one wants to go through a divorce. You know, you really, it's not something that you look forward to doing, but sometimes you have to do it to protect yourself in the future, to protect your children, to protect whatever. You don't want someone to be unjustly enriched and reward bad behavior. She walked out on him. She's living with a guy, and now she's going to lay claim to assets that he's contributing to while she's living a separate life. I mean, that's not right.
You know, Mark, I would hear many guys over the years tell me about these dilemmas that you're talking about, and you know, their stories and that kind of stuff. And I would always remind them, Mark, as a sympathetic listener, that's, well, you were the guy that kissed those lips and married her.
I use that line all the time, Ron. Since I heard you say that, whenever someone complains to me when I'm talking to a client or a potential client, I said, well, you kissed those lips. Ron Verb once told me, you kissed those lips.
Right. A lot of times my friends then don't want to talk to me about their problems anymore after
I don't blame them.
Well, you know, I just want you to know I'm here for you, folks. I'm here for you. All right. So you're on the air with our attorneys tonight.
Thank you for taking my call.
Go ahead. What's your question?
This is about probate. We have a friend, okay? Her mother's elderly. Her husband passed away a couple years ago. Now, this elderly woman has 3 children, a son, a daughter, a son. The daughter lives with the lady and takes care of her. She's bedridden. They wrote a will 2 years ago, had it notarized, had it witnessed by 2 people. Then they got the bug, and they went and talked to a lawyer about a month ago. The lawyer says they're going to have to go to probate, pay 3 to 6%, and tie it up for 2 years. Is this correct? And the follow-up question is, can the other 2 sons challenge the will?
All right. Well, first of all, when you said probate, Frank and I both looked at each other like deer in headlights. So neither one of us are probate specialists, but I didn't hear the option. Someone passed. Has someone passed on?
The husband passed on 4 years ago. The lady lives in her house. Her daughter lives with her and takes care of her.
Is she trying? Are they trying to get a guardianship over her?
Right.
No, she still has her faculties.
Okay, then.
Well, then
there's nothing
you
to
can't probate her if she has her faculties.
Well, I'm just saying, you know. Well, the lawyer said that even though they had a notarized and they had witnesses, that it would still take 2 years and it would cost 3 to 6%.
Okay. Let me back up and ask you questions on his behalf. First of all, it sounds to me like this will was put together without an attorney. Okay. That's what I thought. Let me ask you, Mark. So they didn't have an attorney. They wrote this will and they have it notarized, which really means nothing, I would think, and 2 witnesses.
No, that's not true, Ron.
Yeah, that's
the state would rather you die testate than intestate. So if you want to drop your own will,
you can.
That you can do it. You don't need an attorney to drop a will. However, you could always change your will. You have to destroy the first one, and then you could have a lawyer drop a second one. I would advise the caller to get a lawyer involved, because I mean that was some bad advice to tie it up in probate for 2 to 3 years and pay 3%.
Candidly, it doesn't make sense. Not to be insulting, but something's missing there. It did something.
Who's contesting it? Who has a problem with the will as it stands today?
We think one of the sons will contest it, so he gets something out of it. The estate is worth probably about $300,000.
Well, you can contest it. Doesn't mean you win, Mark.
Is the son excluded? Is the son excluded as a beneficiary?
Which if she's of sound mind, she can exclude him.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, there's nothing that he can do.
But there has to be some language in it that says that she's knowingly and intentionally excluding him because she's made arrangements for him during her lifetime, and she has taken care of him during her lifetime, and therefore she is leaving him out as a beneficiary.
Sure. And
do you know, caller, did in the will that you're talking about, did they specifically state in there that she is excluding that son?
No, I don't know that, but I know the one son that may challenge it. He owns the property next door, which they gifted to him. Now he has a $300,000 house on it.
Well,
Well,
I mean,
Well, that's his.
there's the in-kind contribution that you made during a lifetime,
Right.
and that's why he's being excluded as a beneficiary, because she granted him a piece of property that he built a house on, and she's only leaving the remainder of her estate to the two remaining beneficiaries.
Right. And if she's of sound mind
Right.
a year from now, it's subject to change again. She can change her
Why
will.
doesn't she get? Why didn't she get a lawyer, Frank, on this and do it the right way and
Absolutely.
exclude him?
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
that's really
Well,
what
she's still
needs
of
to
sound
happen.
mind and alive.
Yeah,
I mean,
she's of
seriously.
sound mind.
You know what people say too. Well, I don't need a lawyer, or I don't want a
Bull
lawyer. Well,
crap.
sometimes you need a lawyer.
Well,
Yeah.
these
You
are
know,
complicated
it's
issues,
like-
especially if you're
the
trying to
horse is out of the barn.
exclude. If you're trying to
Yeah.
exclude somebody from your will, I would most certainly advise you seek the advice of an attorney.
And
Well,
frankly,
she's still alive and of competent mind.
Sure.
You need to do it right away.
and people are
Okay.
afraid that there's costs associated with it. Out of all the things lawyers do, drawing up a will is probably one of the lesser expensive things that we as lawyers do.
Sure.
Right, right. You did leave me a few things in yours, didn't you, Mark? Like some of the guitars and things.
I left you that medication for your problem.
Okay. I hate you. I'm Mark. All right, you're on the air. Hello there.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Yeah, question, please.
Yes. First of all, I think it's 10 years to be married before you will be entitled to a pension. Check that out. 10 years to be
No,
married.
it's 10 years. You have to be married 10 years to be entitled to a portion
Social
of
Security.
Social Security. Correct.
That's
if-
right.
if-
Okay. My question is, I got this individual claim form from East Palestine. Okay. And I'm in Youngstown, Ohio, and I ignored it because they say if you live 20 miles. But I still keep getting the postcards telling me that I own a business and I lived in property 20 miles from there.
Well, fill it out.
Yeah, it's as the crow flies, I think,
why
right?
this is why I'm talking to the attorney. Why would I fill this out when I've never even been to East Palestine?
You know what,
I'm
caller?
trying to tell you.
I live in Boardman, and I've gotten probably 4 of those letters. And I think if I
And
filled
did
it out
you-
and
did
sent
you
it
fill
in,
them out?
I did not, because I think I would get probably like $2.60 based
But
on.
you don't know, Mark. Fill it out. No,
Yeah.
seriously,
Well,
Mark.
To me,
No.
that would be fraud on my part.
It's not fraud.
No,
Because I don't live 20 miles from there. That's what that's my question to you all.
well,
I
you
know
might,
some people probably did, but I don't believe in fraud.
Okay.
That's all.
well, you
but-
might be within a 20-mile radius, right, Frank? I mean,
Yeah,
as the
it
crow
could be
flies.
potentially, and I think they would look into that, and I don't think that they would make the determination that you're committing fraud. You've gotten the letter, you fill it out. If they determine you're not eligible to compensation, then you don't get it. I don't know what it hurts. I mean, I respect what you're saying. You're being honorable and saying I'm not gonna take something that I'm not entitled to, but you don't know if you're entitled or not.
Fill it out.
No, I'm not entitled. Just giving out my information is what I want to say. Giving out information that don't even need
Caller,
to be given out.
I
That's
have to be honest. I align myself more with your attitude and opinion. I didn't fill it out. I don't want to waste my time filling it out. I'm lucky.
Thank you
Thank
very
God
much.
I wasn't injured. Nothing's wrong with me. Everything's fine.
Well,
And
there's plenty wrong with you.
well, nothing caused by the train derailment. So, but
Right.
you know, it's not worth it. If it's $2.60, and I spend a half hour filling it out, well, I just wasted money and time.
But
Well, how about that suit I filed against Franco sitting there by you? And wait a second, just ignore that. And how about that I sent against him? And hang on a second.
What are we
I just
ignoring?
gotta-
That rock music that you're blasting?
Yeah, that rock music. Just ignore that. Okay, but
Just ignore this one too.
yeah.
That's right. We are
Hang on a
bringing
minute,
you
guys,
the
hang
tea from Perry every single day at 9 a.m. Eastern.
Yeah, T from Perry. I don't know if we're married to that name, but the point is, we'll tell you what's going on. We'll tell you what's hot, what's not.
Bottom line, everything you need to know that's going on in Paris during the 2024 games, you're going to get it from us.
Listen to Amy and TJ on America's #1 podcast network, iHeart. Open your free iHeart app and search Amy and TJ and start listening.
All right, there we go. Let me go back to you guys. You know, just remember, Mark, when we had that lawsuit against Frank and we settled for Trussell Tortellini?
Oh, yes. That was a good settlement as far as I'm concerned.
Right. You remember that, Frank? I
yeah,
mean, it was
very
all-
equitable.
Trestle tortellini.
That's what we had, you know, 2 large bowls of it. All right, you're on the air. Hello.
Yes, I had a question about a trust. My question is, my parents made a trust about 20 years ago, and my mom is now the only one still living. And the question is, her liquidable assets are coming onto the wire. If my mom would go in a nursing home, does the trust protect the trust assets from Medicaid or a nursing home?
The look back period.
I guess the answer is it depends, because there are several different kinds of trusts. It depends if you have control of the trust or if you don't have, if it's irrevocable or revocable.
Sure. The trust could, hopefully in your situation, should protect the assets, but
if
you
it's
don't know.
irrevocable.
Exactly.
If it's an irrevocable trust, you would like to think the assets would be protected.
And Ron's correct about the look back period.
What does revocable mean?
It means that you can't. It's a matter of control. If you're using the trust kind of like a bank account where you could go and withdraw monies at any time without any kind of an explanation or any kind of, the more you control it, the more you move money around in it, the more you play with it, then it could be tapped.
Yeah.
How about this for an idea? Why don't you take whoever drew the trust up? Why don't you go and take it and ask them that question so you know for certain? You're asking guys who haven't read the trust or aren't sure what type it is. If it's going to qualify in the look back period, you really need to look at it.
Right. Yeah. That's just not a general question that we can answer. That's more of a question, like Ron's saying. It really depends on the specifics,
especially if it's a 20-year-old trust.
Sure.
Is it revocable or irrevocable? Do you know the answer to that question, caller?
Oh, to be honest, I don't. But when he was saying if you're moving money, I have an older brother that's the executor that has to pay her bills and pay taxes and stuff. So I would say yes, he's using that money to pay because she owns a rental property, so she has to pay taxes.
I think it could
and
still be
irrevocable.
It could still be irrevocable.
Revocable then?
No, it could still be irrevocable because bank accounts can be in the trust and you pay bills through them. But it applies more to assets in the trust.
And also the person that created the trust. So if the person that creates the trust is moving money around and not an executor and not someone that was appointed to represent the trust, the more the person that creates the trust controls it, the more likely that it is exposed.
Right. No. So the attorney doesn't have any play in the that would made it. Does not have any what he would say, like moving around or make decisions on that part. So if that answers the question,
I would take it to that attorney.
Yeah, the attorney that drafted it is going to tell you whether or not he created an instrument that is protected from Medicaid or Medicare or any kind of invasion.
Right.
And if you can't get a hold of them, take it to an estate attorney and have them look at it. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. And one last quick question, as far as the trust is concerned, is there any time frame on how long you, like when my mom leaves this world, is that trust filed with the Trumbull County or Mahoney County, where if something would happen to my mom, say she leaves this world, do I have to do anything with the court system? That's the only question I had, other than.
Well, you need a lawyer.
Yeah, it depends on the trust. It depends on the trust because they're all different.
Okay.
You definitely need an attorney. Thanks. You're on the air.
Hello?
Yes, question, please.
Hello?
Hello, question, please.
Oh, okay. Yes. Why aren't we talking more about Biden's Medicare fault?
We're not doing that. You're on the air.
Yes, I just want to make a comment here, and then I would need to ask Mark if he can help me out. If you're going to think about if you need a lawyer, talk to Mark first. He'll tell you. He'll be honest and tell you if you need one or not.
Yes, he will. He's a straight shooter.
Thank you.
He's a good man. He's a damn good man.
I know. I dealt with him before.
All right.
He's one of the best lawyers in the area.
Yeah. Is that it? Because I'm running out of time. All right.
No. This thing with East Palestine, I went down there to try to help the people, and I think I got an infection from that in the right leg. So, I need to talk to Mark about that. They took it off. So.
All right. Well, call him. You're on the air. I'm sorry, I lost that. Well, he has to call you on that on his own.
Yeah.
Just because you went down
Did
there
he say
doesn't
they took
necessarily.
It off?
Yeah, but I mean that I think that had to do with smoking cigarettes over the years and a heart attack. as opposed to going down East Palestine. But
Wow.
that's my opinion on that kind of stuff. So it is what it is. All right. So another successful legal show, boys, is under our belts, courtesy of Beatrice Kopp. Starring tonight, attorney Mark DeVecchio. You're sharing a stage tonight with who, Mark?
Attorney Frank Cassis.
There you go. And you guys did an excellent job. And as always,
Thanks, Ron.
we appreciate it. And David, we hope, he's feeling better at the next broadcast, right?
Praying for a speedy recovery.
Yeah, for walking pneumonia.
He's really
Well,
taking
not-
it hard.
Well, yeah, not that speedy of a recovery, but a recovery. All right.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Ron.
guys. Have a good night. Legal Show brought to you by Beatrice Kopp, News Radio 5.